Hello everybody, my name is Roxtus,
And I'm Soulgale.
and welcome back to Warframe.
Woo!
You ready?
I'm ready.
Alright, Frost how to. So Frost drops from my favorite boss here on series, Lex, I believe? No, Extra. Extra from Lieutenant Krell and Captain Vor. Of the Warframes, he's actually one of those that just came right off after the vanilla of Warframe. So after the 8 originals that started with the game, Excalibur, Trinity, Ember, Volt, Loki, Rhino, Mag, and Ash came along Frost and Nyx. And Frost and Nyx was right after those original 8 Warframes. And of those 10 Warframes, Excalibur was primed first. And then after Excalibur was primed, the second prime that they made out of the 8 originals and out of the 2 that were new, they chose Frost to be the next one after Excalibur to be primed. So he was the second one to actually be primed in all of Warframe, regardless of him being newer, which you would think they might prime a older and original Warframe. They primed Frost before they did any of the older primed Warframe. So that's pretty interesting for the history on Frost. And he's actually better for early game, I'd have to say, because I used him, I don't know how many times when I was starting Warframe. I actually picked him up alongside Trinity, and then I actually started using him a lot more early game than I did any other Warframe. Any other Warframe, including Mag, Trinity, or Equinox, I really didn't use all that often. I actually used Frost as my go-to most of the time for earlier in the game Warframe. And the reason why that is he's tankier, he's got a lot more defenses, and he's just overall just a better version of Equinox. So, ready?
Yes.
We'll roll right into the abilities.
All right.
So, his passive is upon being struck, Frost will, with a melee attack, has a 10% chance to freeze the attacker for 20 seconds. So on getting hit, you have a 10% chance, which is an okay chance. It's not the best chance, but it's an okay chance for that attacker just to get frozen. And that's a pretty long duration for 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Like you can sit there and just kind of look at them in their eyes while you smack them over the head with a hammer. Freeze. Freeze is very useful. Frigid energy blast that freezes the targets in their tracks. Drain is 25 energy. Damage is 350. Frost damage 100% chance on frost. Area damage is 150. Frost again. Frost. Frost is really good. Duration is 15 seconds. This is really useful, especially again I say early in the game, because there's a lot of bursts and they like to just run around, and it's super useful for Frost to just cast that ability, and it completely stops the Bursa in the track. It'll just completely freeze the Bursa. You can go around the backside of the Bursa and start meleeing on it. And this is how I got through the beginning stages of Warframe for me, was actually Frost. Ice Wave sends a wave of razor sharp crystallized ice toward an enemy, dealing heavy damage. Drain is 50, damage is 700 Frost. Wave width is 3 meters. Wave length is 20 meters, and angle is 60 degrees, or 45 degrees. If you up range, it'll up your wave width, your length, and your angle of the ability, so it actually covers more territory, more ground. And this is pretty useful. I just like it for the golden duckies.
I was about to say there's golden duckies.
Snow globe. Frost deep freezes any vapor and moisture in an area, creating a protective sphere with a brief invulnerability to boost its strength. So this is kind of a very interesting and probably the most iconic ability of Frost. You have a drain of 50, which is actually pretty efficient. Slow of 67%. Health is 5,075 health on a base. Time that's invulnerable is 4 seconds. This is not moddable. And the time invulnerable is really interesting, because as soon as you cast the ability, there's a 4-second duration where the globe will actually kind of flash, and you'll be able to see the change in the color of the globe, where it'll kind of go bright and dim, and then after those 4 seconds, it'll stop doing that. During the duration where it flashes like that, any enemy fire into the bubble will actually increase its health bar so that it won't just die earlier. So that's something that's really interesting to take into account. The radius is 5 meters. And this is really why this is a better version of Frost, or Equinox, because Equinox for the Night form, you have to take quite a bit of significant damage to get an 80% slow. For Frost, you just cast Snow Globe, and you can cast 4 Snow Globes without any of them despawning. And then as soon as you do a 5th cast, or you do an additional cast beyond 4 open or current Snow Globes, and as soon as you do the 5th one, it'll override one of the previous ones, the first ones that you've done, and it'll put in another 4th Snow Globe, but it'll remove the first. So you can have 4 of them out on the table all at the same time. But the nice thing is 67% slow it's just capped right there. You don't have to do anything for that. You don't have to build that up. It's just passively on.
It's just static.
It's just static. And Equinox, where you have to take all that damage, be able to get it up to 80%, then around the corner comes a nullifier, and you get popped with a nullifier. You have to build all that slow all the way back up. So this is why this is actually just a better version of Equinox if you're looking in terms of the slow.
Yeah.
Because it's not such a significant slow to actually fail your mission. And plus 2, you don't even have to cast the ability. In survival, you can just not use the ability and have the survival mission go at full speed. So that's really, really nice. For the health of the bubble is determined off of 2 factors, power strength and armor. This is also why it's really, really good, because I believe, especially when you're talking about in terms of Tau forged Archon shards, the strength gained off of the red Tau forges versus the blue for the armor. The blue is actually significantly better because you just get more armor, and there's just more positive gain from that armor than you would ever see with the power strength. So that's something that's really, really interesting there. Avalanche. Summon a treacherous landslide of ice that instantly freezes and shatters all enemies within its radius. Drain is 100, damage is 1,500 frost, radius is 15 meters, duration is 8 seconds. This ability will freeze anything, and even if it doesn't die, it'll be stuck in ice for a duration of 8 seconds, so they cannot move. Armor reduction is 60%. Now this is interesting because it used to be 40%. So,
wait, really? It
yes,
used to be 40?
It used to be 40%. So around 2020, they changed it from 40% to 60%. This just means that you don't have to put as much power strength into it to actually get a full armor strip of 100%.
Oh, that's nice.
So it's really, really nice. Explosion radius is 4.5 meters. I believe if something explodes or dies, that it does a blast radius. And explosion damage off of that blast radius is 400 frost cold damage. All right, ready to mod?
Yeah.
All right. So I actually only have one frost build, and it's green frost. We have Arcane Guardian for a whole bunch of added armor. This goes onto the Snow Globe for stacking armor reductions. And then we have Arcane Reaper. You can change this out for Arcane Reaper or Arcane Energize. I just use Arcane Reaper just to get my health back, because when I was starting out Warframe, I didn't go Steel Charge. I actually went Rejuvenation most of the time, because then I just didn't die a lot of the time. So Rejuvenation definitely keeps you up to full health early game. When you get to kind of more end game where you can get Arcane Reaper or something like that, where you get health regen per second, you don't really need the Rejuvenation. You can go for Arcane Reaper to buff back your armor, which is super nice for your Snow Globes. Again, the armor from Arcane Reaper gives for your Snow Globes and health regen for your health. And then you can go straight on Steel Charge for the more added damage. Prime Sure-Footed, as you've seen the Trinity video, knockdowns, pretty nice to have Prime Sure-Footed instead of something like Handspring.
I love Prime Sure-Footed.
Oh yeah, super, super useful. And then for this build, we're gonna actually go for a bigger battery with Archon Flow, because it's 185% energy max, and from energy, Prime Flow does the same amount, same percent, so 185%. But enemies killed by cold abilities have a 10% chance to drop an energy orb, and the cooldown for that is 10 seconds. So at least you're getting some energy back. This is more so better paired with a Trinity because then you get your energy back.
Yeah.
And she's able to pretty much be the duality between the two, where she's keeping both of them alive and Frost is just doing the area of effect. And it's a very good pairing, Trinity with Frost. It's a very, very good pairing. For this, we're going to be going Biting Frost. Frost gains 200% critical chance and 200% critical damage against frozen enemies. This is really good. So for most melee and for most even ranged weapons, and we're just going to be talking about critical damage here. Do I even have critical damage on this?
I'm not sure.
Ah, here we are. So you can see that there's only 151% critical damage, and I believe it's only 120% with the base mod of Point Strike, no, Vital Sense, 120% critical damage. So that actually supersedes and goes beyond both of these mods, regardless of which one's equipped, because these are only 151 and 120% versus 200%, which you get from Biting Frost if something has been frozen. And then same thing again for any melee weapon. You only get 90%, so that's another 110% extra off of the Biting Frost, which is significant. It is huge, especially if you're doing criticals. This does a lot of critical damage, and the added critical chance almost makes up for an extra tier in critical damage. Instead of hitting a yellow crit, you're basically hitting an orange crit right at that point. So that's super, super nice. We are going all full Umbral mods. We're going to go full Umbral Intensify, Umbral Fiber, and Umbral Vitality for health. Armor, which stacks with your snow globe, and Intensify, which also stacks with your snow globe. And because it's set mods, it goes from 44, 55 to 77%. And same thing with armor and health, where it goes from 100, 130 to 180% bonus armor. So it's super nice to having a set mod that pairs with each other, and it gives you big bonuses for the power, strength, and the armor just to make your snow globe super nice and tanky.
Oh yeah.
And then we're going to go primed continuancy for a little bit of ability duration, just so that your avalanche, instead of a duration of 8 seconds, it's to 12.4 or 12.5 seconds, just to gain you another extra 4 seconds that things are frozen and they can't move. Icy. And for range, we are actually going overextend. You might be like, what? Why are you going overextended? Doesn't it negate ability strength? Yes. But without it, then you can't hit as many things, and not as many things can actually get frozen at one point in time. So it's super nice to actually have a wide area of effect, especially if you have a squad of 4 people. Then you can hit the entire table while still stripping 100% of that armor. Super, super nice. And then we're going to have negative 60% ability strength. And I've done a lot of play testing with trying to find the exact snow globe range, because when you're placing down snow globe over a protective target, you want to make sure that the snow globe isn't too big where a nullifier can just walk into it and just disable the area of effect. And plus two, you want to make sure that you can be able to recast it and know that nullifier isn't just going to hit it. And I found the nice range for the snow globe to be around 10-meter radius, and right now we're at a 9.5. So this is perfect because we're not going too large to the point where nullifiers just disable the bubble, and we're not going too small where this bubble isn't as significant. You want a good slow so that you can be able to protect the target. And if you go with a minimalist bubble, you can go minimal bubble with going narrow-minded, again negating ability range, but then I just find it's just not as effective for keeping the target safe. Even if you go a smaller bubble, they're still going to be able to hit it, and it's just a harder time to actually protect the target, especially if you have a larger area within that bubble. 67% slow is converted as a 67% damage reduction, so that's really, really nice. And then we're going to go blind range. I know this does negate ability efficiency. You could do something different, maybe. Let's see here. So we have 77%, 17%. We need from 60% to go to 100. We need 67% added bonus power strength to get this armor strip to 100%. So we only need 50%. Blind Rage adds 99, so we have double from Blind Rage. Let's see here. Transient Fortitude, you could go Transient Fortitude. That would give you 100% power strength, still 103%. But then you're going to be negating some of that duration,
Yeah.
which actually isn't half bad because you'd still be efficient. So you could still actually go Transient Fortitude. That would be fine, but you'd negate 2 seconds, which 2 seconds isn't that bad. And it would just kind of, Prime Continuance, you would be able to make that back easy enough. If you do have a Trinity, you could go Blind Rage, and that would just make your Snow Globe freeze quite a bit more. But especially if you want to go spammable, Transient Fortitude, you can definitely do. And I don't think anything else really gives 50% other than energy conversion, which you would need to pick up an energy orb, which you could argue is pretty nicely paired with Archon Flow because abilities have a 10% chance to drop energy orb. But it has to be conditional that your enemies would be killed by cold damage, which if you get to high enough level might not just happen. So I would probably plan to stand with Transient Fortitude or Blind Rage to get that 100%. And between the two, I might go more efficient because negative 55% ability efficiency does hit pretty hard unless you have a Trinity paired with you.
Yeah, I actually had Transient Fortitude on. I didn't have Blind Rage on.
Yeah. And then, like, especially again, depending on if you have a Trinity, you might actually want to swap out this Arcane Reaper earlier with the Arcane Energize to be able to get back quite a bit of your energy earlier. But if you have a Trinity, that's the point where you could be using Arcane Reaper and getting a whole bunch more armor. It's 660, which is pretty much 2/3 of Arcane Guardian. So that's super nice to be able to have a nice tanky Snow Globe.
Yeah.
Trash. Well, I think that's everything for the build. Should we go ahead and try it out?
All right.
Did you want to go Trinity?
Yeah, I'll be Trinity.
Okay, because then I can pop on Reaper, and that would just give me more armor. But I kind of like the idea of not having so much negated ability efficiency. And there's not too much difference. Power strength, though, definitely gives you a tankier Snow Globe, especially for higher levels. So you could think about doing that if you're getting to pretty high levels and you want your Snow Globe to last a little bit longer. But this is around 30,000. Whoops.
Shall I showcase the EV build?
You can if you want, sure.
I want to try it.
Okay. 29,000 isn't bad, and there's only a 6,000 health difference, so I might go Blind Rage just to show off the Snow Globe build, but it does go negative efficiency. But there are some things that you can definitely do. If I was going earlier, I'd probably use Transient Fortitude instead of Blind Rage and use Arcane Energize, especially if I'm just starting out the game. I wouldn't want to be using something like Blind Rage because you would have to get quite a bit of energy back to be able to use your abilities.
Yeah.
And then, of course, for Tau of Shards, we are going full blue Tau Shards, going 225 armor. Each of these gets 1,000 and then 1,250 armor in total, summing up to around 2,000 armor, which is 87% damage reduction on Frost. So he is a super tanky boy.
Yeah.
Not as tanky as some other Warframes, but he does do the job. All right, I want a defense mission.
Yeah.
Let's see here. That looks good. Belenus,
All right.
tier 3.
Now, hopefully I don't get hurt too much, because this build is very squishy on Trinity.
Oh, yeah.
Our position has been compromised.
But especially when I was doing the Onaros mission, like, I didn't have Valkyra at that time.
Yeah.
I beat Onaros for that mission just using Frost.
Yeah, I had. And as you can see, those pulses are
Freeze.
good. Keep spamming them. Go for it. You
But
have
I
an
want
unlimited
freeze.
energy.
This is what I did earlier too for versus. I was just like, whoop. And they didn't hit me. That's perfect.
And I give pretty good shields with that build too.
Oh yeah. But for later game Trinity, I love to use her regular build. I don't like using the EV.
Yeah.
It's just not as efficient. And for Biting Frost, this gives a huge amount of critical damage. So something like the Fragger Prime or even the Magister at this point, Magister actually conquers the Prime Fragger. So kind of sad to say, but the Magistar actually does win in a contest of damage and speed.
And my buff does not last very long with this build. As you could see.
Now I want to sing a Christmas song because I'm Frost.
Alright, are you gonna, instead of saying Jack Frost, just Frost?
No, I was going to sing a Santa Claus song.
Oh, Santa Claus.
Like Jingle Bells.
Okay.
Or Jack Frost.
Jack Frost nipping at your nose.
At your pinky toes.
At your pinky toe.
I love Frost. And I just come back to it again because like the beginning of the game, I just started off with Frost. I did start with Mag, that was the first Warframe, but when I picked up Frost, he was kind of like more the long-standing, got me through the harder levels. So he was really nice. And I get golden duckies.
Golden duckies.
Golden duckies.
I like the golden duckies.
Oh yeah. And you can put down 4 snow globes. I can make a snowman. Oh, they won't let me go up that high. Oh, they won't even let me go that high. No, I gotta make a snowman here. You gotta let me do it. You gotta let me do it. You just gotta. I gotta get up high enough. No. Ah. How about we do this? This? Now I made a snowman. It's kind of crooked snowman, but it's a snowman.
Well, I gotta see this snowman. Oh. It is a very crooked snowman.
Yeah, it's kind of crooked. But as soon as I do another snow globe, then it'll get rid of my first one. And then I have 2 down there, 2 up there. And I'm going to put 1 back here. Remake my snowman. Perfect. He's a little straighter now. Still kind of crooked. But yes, my Frost. So as soon as something is frozen, I get that Biting Frost bonus, which gives me way higher critical damage. Super nice. Oh, Frost might be my favorite Warframe, who knows? I really like, I am a big fanboy of Equinox, but
Yeah.
like Frost is one of those, it just works. Nice. And then if you want to get rid of a bubble, your first ability breaks that bubble,
Which is nice.
which is beautiful. So now I just have my snowman.
Just have one snow globe.
No one shall dare enter my snowman. There.
Well, really like this flamethrower. If they made like a Kuva flamethrower, I would be on that.
Yeah,
I love my flamethrower.
that would be OP. Flamethrowers, pretty much, I would think in any game, are pretty overpowered. Alright.
Extraction is well.
We shall go.
Alright, we shall go.
So yes, that is Frost.
Yeah.
Now Frost I would definitely use for earlier levels, but if I'm quick clearing rooms I will use Mag. Equinox not so much, it's just kind of fallen out of its grace. Trinity is conditional. If I need more of a survival mission, something more tanky, more substantial, I will use Trinity over something like Mag or even Frost in that point. If you need to be very safe and careful, pairing Trinity with a good Frost build does really king all. But most missions I will run Mag because I love that pull, and being able to just clear rooms very quickly is super efficient. But I'd have to say Frost might be my favorite Warframe. It's not as useful as something like Mag for faster missions, but I do still love Frost. Frost is one of those I really come back to and I go, you know, if I was going through the game again, Frost would probably be much better than Mag.
Yeah.
Though at some point, though, Mag does overtake Frost just because of the area clear and just being able to get through missions. She's much more substantial for that. But yes. Well, I think that's all the time we have for this episode. Yes.
Fortunately, yes.
And we will see you guys in the very next video. Bye-bye.
Oh, I tried doing that before and it wouldn't let me do it.
Oh, can you do it?
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.